What's up, everybody? My name is Tentacle, and I've got an interesting video for you guys this time around. With the approach of 2022 and the eventual release of Splatoon 3, the patch updates for Splatoon 2 have slowed down drastically. So I think it's high time I try something new. In this video, I'm gonna make my first ever tier list and rank every single main weapon in Splatoon 2. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and others just exist, you know? But I've never thought about which ones are truly the best. Now then, as you can see, I've edited the tiers a little. I know tier lists usually follow the same SABCD system, best to worst and all that, but I thought it would be fun to base these off of the Splatoon 2 ranks. So, with that being said, let's get started. Wait, actually, before we do, I do need to add one more tier. I'll put it below C. Not bad, just terrible with these. There we go. Now then, I think I'll go in order of the tier list to simplify things. So let's start with the shooters. I think I'm gonna put the Vanilla and Sploosh 7, or I guess I should say the Vanilla Sploosh and the Sploosh 7 in S rank, or S tier. And the Neo Sploosh is gonna go in A tier. I know technically all three of these weapons have their own niches, but I think the Vanilla Sploosh-O-Matic and the Sploosh 7 are a lot better at fighting back compared to the Neo Sploosh. Sure, the Neo Sploosh can get into your opponent's base really easily, and subsequently get in their faces. But apart from spamming 20 Tenta missiles every match, I don't see the Neo Sploosh being played very much. Anyway, I know this may sound crazy, but I think the Splattershot Jr., the vanilla version anyway, is one of the best weapons in the game. Only because it's so versatile. It's got great turf coverage, a decent damage output for a starting weapon, and splat bombs. Again, one of the most versatile sub-weapons out there. That, and it has the 10% ink tank buff that no other weapon has. Well, besides its alternate sets, but you know what I mean. I will put the other two juniors in S tier, because they are good, but not as good as the Vanilla Splattershot Jr. Oh, and before we continue, something else I forgot to mention. All of these rankings are going to be coming from a casual viewpoint only. I have no knowledge of competitive Splatoon 2. So, don't be surprised if any of my rankings are a little weird, you know? Anyway, Neo Splash-O-Matic, X tier. Regular Splash-O-Matic, A tier. That's easy. The Aero Sprays are next. Let's see. Silver Aero Spray, S tier. Gold Aero Spray, A tier. No, actually, Gold Aero Spray is B tier. And Bronze Aero Spray, X tier. There we go. Now for the splatter shots. If I made this video any earlier, I would probably put all four of them pretty low on this list. But a recent patch for Splatoon 2 gave them a pretty sizable damage buff. So for that, I'm putting the Vanilla Splattershot in X tier, the T-Tech and Octoshot in S tier since they're just carbon copies of each other, and the Kensa Splattershot in A tier. If they didn't have the damage buff, they would all be one tier lower. Vanilla and Kensa 52 Gal go in X tier, and the 52 Gal Deco goes in S tier. Ooh, now here's an interesting one. NZAP 85, X tier. NZAP 89, S tier. NZAP 83, B tier. I forgot to mention this when I ranked the Aerosprays, but I'm ranking the Aerospray RG and NZAP 83 for the same reason. Their only niche is getting a lot of turf quickly. Now for the Splattershot Pros. Vanilla Pro, S tier. Forge Pro, also in S tier. And the Kensa Pro is gonna go in X tier. Anyway, Vanilla 96 Gal, S tier. If I can put it there, thank you. And the .96 Gal Deco is gonna go in A tier. Ooh, now here's a fun one. I honestly think the Jet Squelchers are definitely good shooters, but they're not great, you know? They're okay. I think I'm gonna put both Jet Squelchers in S tier. Don't get me wrong, they are good, but there are better shooters. Okay, now we got the blasters to deal with. Vanilla Luna Blaster, S tier. Luna Blaster Neo, B tier. Kensa Luna Blaster, A tier. I'm only putting the Kensa Luna in A tier because I've barely used it. It might be good, I don't know. But I will say the Luna Blaster Neo is definitely the worst of the three. Vanilla Blaster is X tier, actually. But it's pretty low on this tier. The Custom Blaster, A tier. No, actually, B tier. And that brings me to a point that I want to bring up. You're gonna see a common trend in this tier list. There are so many weapons in Splatoon 2 that have the inkjet, and I don't get why. Now granted, some weapons that have the inkjet are good. See the Tenatech Splattershot, for example. But not all of them are. The Custom Blaster is one of these examples. When your inkjet expires, you're pretty much unable to fight back with the Custom Blaster unless you throw an autobomb directly below you after you land. Now then, I'm gonna put both the Vanilla and Custom Range Blasters in A tier, but the Grim Range Blaster is gonna go in X tier. And while I'm at it, I'll move the Vanilla Blaster down to S tier. Also, I might as well bring this up. I'm probably gonna be changing my mind a lot at certain points for the rest of this video. I tend to get very indecisive when I make tier lists. Anyway, both Clash Blasters are gonna go in S tier. While they are annoying to fight, they're just as fun to play. And I do like using the Vanilla Clash Blaster in parties in private battles. Ooh, now here's a tough one. The Rapid Blasters. I can definitely say the Kensa Rapid Blaster is gonna go in S tier. But I barely play any of the other Rapid Blasters. In fact, I don't even know what the Rapid Blaster Deco and Rapid Blaster Pro Deco have. Hang on a second, I'm gonna look that up. And we're back. Okay, so apparently the Rapid Blaster Deco has the Suction Bomb and Inkjet, and the Rapid Blaster Pro Deco has the Splash Wall and Ink Armor. I don't know why I forgot them in the first place, but I guess that shows you how little I play those weapons. Anyway, I'm gonna put the Vanilla Rapid Blaster in A tier, the Rapid Blaster Deco in B tier, same reason as the Custom Blaster, and I'll put both Rapid Blaster Pros in A tier as well. Now for the Nozzle Noses. L3 Nozzle Nose Vanilla version, A tier. L3D, S tier. Kensa L3, X tier. Having the splash wall on the Kensa L3 nozzle nose is a really good idea because it allows you to get away and aim yourself better for the 3-shot splat more easily. Now then, Vanilla H3 nozzle nose, B tier. H3D, A tier. And Cherry H3, S tier. And last but not least for the shooters, both squeezers are gonna go in A tier. Now for the rollers. And I'm just gonna say this right now, the Ink Brush Nouveau, in my opinion, is the worst weapon in the game. Its set is so bad for what the main weapon is. The only good thing that the Ink Brush Nouveau has going for it is that it can move around really easily. And the baller helps with that. It has no other redeeming qualities other than, ha ha ha, ink brush go brrr. Now let's move on. Carbon Roller Vanilla version, A tier. Carbon Roller Deco, S tier. Vanilla Splat Roller, and I guess the Crack-On Splat Roller too, are both gonna go in A tier. They are good, but I think the Carbon Roller Deco has a much better splatting capability compared to the other rollers. Maybe it's because it has Burst Bomb, which is what it had in Splatoon 1. Man, if you guys weren't around for Splatoon 1, then you weren't around for the dawn of the burst canceling era. Ooh, man. Oh yeah, and the Kensa Splat Roller is also in C tier. But it's definitely better than the Ink Brush Nouveau. Okay, now for the Dynamo Rollers. This one's easy. Vanilla Dynamo Roller goes in A tier. Gold Dynamo Roller, and you guys aren't going to believe me for this one, the Gold Dynamo Roller is going to go in X tier. I think having Splat Bombs and Ink Armor on a freaking Dynamo Roller is a hidden gem. Because the Dynamo Roller is so slow, it has a really hard time fighting back against much faster weapons. So giving it a quick response, it being the Gold Dynamo Roller in this case, is a really good idea. Oh, and the Kensa Dynamo Roller is going to go in S tier. Now, I'm not very good with the Flingza Roller. I probably have a lot less experience with it compared to the Foil Flingza. But it's definitely not worthy of being in the not bad tier. I'll put the Vanilla Flingza Roller in A tier and the Foil in S tier. Okay, Vanilla Ink Brush, X tier. Surprising, I know. And the Permanent Ink Brush is going to go in high S tier. Now then, the Octo Brushes. Vanilla Octo Brush is going to go in S tier. Octo Brush Nouveau is going to go in, you know what, yeah, S tier as well. And for some reason, I don't know why, the Kensa Octo Brush is dead last on this unranked list. But I definitely think the Kensa Octo Brush is going to go in X tier. But that's it for the rollers. This list is really coming together. Now it's time for the chargers. And I was kind of dreading this. Right away, I'm going to put all of the scoped chargers in this very bottom tier. None of them are bad. I'm just absolute hot garbage with scoped chargers. I don't know if it's bad hand-eye coordination, bad field of vision, or bad tunnel vision. But no matter what I've done, I never win any matches with scoped chargers unless I have really good teammates. I would much rather use unscoped chargers because that way I'd be able to see all over me instead of just right in front of me. Props to anyone who actually mains a scoped charger and does it well, but personally, they're not the weapons for me. I'm sorry. Okay, Classic Squiffer. That's gonna go in S tier. It's actually a surprisingly good support weapon. Definitely not better than the NZAP 85, but still, it's good. Meanwhile, the alternate sets for the Squiffer are both gonna go in A tier. Vanilla Splat Charger, S tier. And the Firefin Splat Charger, why not? Let's also put it in S tier. I'll put the Kensa Charger up here as well in S tier, but just know this order is probably not going to be the final order. I do want to swap these weapons around a little bit to show exactly how I think of them. Ooh boy, the E-Leaders. The custom E-Leader is definitely going in A tier, and the vanilla one, that one's going in S tier. I don't know why I forgot the set of the vanilla E-Leader for a second. Ooh, now the Bamboozlers. These ones are interesting, to say the least. The vanilla Bamboozler, oddly enough, I think this one is the worst of the three. It's not bad, but I'm still going to put it in B tier. I think the sets of the Bamboozler Mark II and Mark III are a lot better. The Bamboozler Mark III, if you equip a lot of main power-up on it, becomes one of the best Bubble Blower Bubble Destroyers in the game. The Vanilla Goo Tuber and Custom Goo Tuber, honestly, they're both going to go in A tier. They're probably the chargers I have the least experience with, but if I had to choose right now, I would definitely say the Vanilla Goo Tuber is a lot better than the Custom. The Custom Goo Tuber is another case of a weapon where I don't understand why it has an inkjet. And that's it for the chargers. Now let's move on to the Sloshers. These ones are fun. Right away, I can say with 100% certainty, I think the Soda Slosher is the best Slosher in the game. Pure offense, with a little bit of trolling. I actually considered maining the Soda Slosher for a while. Now then, Vanilla Slosher is going to go in S tier, and Slosher Deco is also going to go in X tier. Okay. Honestly, I would rank both Tri-Sloshers in S tier. They're both very solid, but I definitely think the Soda Slosher and the Slosher Deco beat them. Ooh, now for the sloshing machines. The Kensa machine is definitely gonna go in X tier. Now, I'm gonna be putting both the vanilla and neo sloshing machines in A tier. Normally, I would rank these in S tier, but you know what? Actually, I think I will put the vanilla sloshing machine in S tier. Yeah, that makes more sense. Now then, both Bloblobbers are going to go in S tier alongside the vanilla Explosher, but I'm putting the custom Explosher in B tier. Yes, I do know it's really easy to escape/attack aggressively with the baller, but once you get rid of the baller, you're pretty much a sitting duck with the custom Explosher, because it's so slow and it's more suited for attacking opponents that are really far away. That's the same reason why I put the Custom Blaster and the Rapid Blaster Deco in B tier as well. That takes care of the Sloshers. Now let's move on to the Splatlings. Vanilla Mini Splatling, X tier. Zinc Mini Splatling, S tier. And the Kensa Mini Splatling, surprisingly, also X tier. Having the Toxic Mist makes it really easy to just stun your opponents and mow them down. And of course, the Ultra Stamp also amplifies that. Vanilla Heavy Splatling, S tier. Heavy Splatling Deco, A tier. And the Heavy Splatling Remix, X tier. Fun fact, the Heavy Splatling Remix was the weapon I used the most during Splatoon 2 Splatfests. Ooh, now this one's gonna be tough. I personally have little to no experience with the rest of these Splatlings, but I am gonna put the Nautilus 79 in C tier. I consider this to be the worst Splatling in the game, probably one of my top 5 least favorite weapons in this game, and the worst offender of my unable to fight back after using your special concept. There's not really much else I can say about the Nautilus 79. It's just bad. Again, I'm sorry if you do main this weapon, it's just not for me. The Vanilla and Custom Hydra Splatling are both gonna go in A tier. If their sets were any different, I would probably put them in B tier. Okay, Vanilla Ballpoint Splatling, B tier. Ballpoint Nouveau, A tier. And last but not least, the Nautilus 47, that's gonna go in S tier. Only 2 more weapon classes to go, the Dualies and the Brellas. Vanilla Dappled Dualies are gonna go in A tier alongside the Dappled Nouveaux, but the Clear Dappled Dualies, I'm gonna put them in X tier. Now then, Vanilla Splat Dualies, X tier, if I could put them there. On Parry Splat Dualies, A tier. And Kensa Splat Dualies, S tier. But they're pretty high up there, yeah. Same reason as the Permanent Ink Brush and the Sloshers. Okay, now I've been waiting for this one. The Vanilla Gluga Dualies are an easy C tier placement. They're my least favorite Dualies in the game, my second least favorite weapon in the game, and to top it all off, I just don't get their set at all. Why would you have the Ink Mine and the Ink Jet on the slowest Dualies in the game? At least you're able to dodge roll away after using the Ink Jet, but that's the only thing that's saving the Gluga Dualies. If you weren't able to do that, they would probably be my least favorite weapon in the game instead of the Ink Brush Nouveau. Now for the other 2, that's a different story. I'm putting the Gluga Dualie Decos in B tier and the Kensa Glugas in S tier. Now then, Vanilla Dualie Squelchers, S tier. Custom Dualie Squelchers, X tier. Easy. And last but not least for the Dualies are the Tetras. I've actually been picking up the Dark Tetra Dualies a lot recently. And normally I would rank them in A tier, but after playing them a lot by myself, I'm putting them in S tier. The 4 dodge rolls as opposed to the 2 that the other Dualies have make them a lot more viable than you'd think, especially combined with that Autobomb Splashdown set. You can just zoom around the entire map. And I might as well put the Light Tetras up in S tier as well, because while the Dark Tetras are easily able to launch powerful attacks at your opponents, the Light Tetras are really good at taking your opponent's turf as well, because they have the Sprinkler and Autobomb launcher. Now for the last weapon class in the game, the Brellas. Vanilla Splat Brella, S tier. Tentasorella Brella is probably A tier. Yeah, definitely A tier. Vanilla and Camo Tentabrella are both gonna go in S tier. Honestly, I'd probably put the Brella in S tier as well, and it would probably be about the same ranking as the vanilla Brella, because they both have their strengths and weaknesses. The vanilla Brella does have better turf coverage capabilities than the Brella, in my opinion, but the Brella also has more offensive power than the vanilla Brella. They complement each other's weak points very nicely. Meanwhile, the Kensa Undercover Brella is going to go in low X tier. The vanilla Undercover Brella is going to go in A tier. And why not? I might as well put the Undercover Brella in A tier as well. And there you go. That's every weapon ranked. Now, I'm gonna be right back real quick so I can scramble the order of these weapons a little bit. And I will come back once I have a definitive order of how I think these weapons should be.
A few moments later.
And there we go! I finally scrambled the order of the weapons in each tier so you could get a better idea of what I think about them. Although, I will say I left some weapons of similar types together because I wasn't really sure how I would rank any two of them when comparing them side by side. So that's it for this video. Until next time, this is Tentacle signing out. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. I love you all, and take care, everybody.